My beloved child, now it is I, your God, the one who has watched over every breath you've taken since your first, who speaks to you in a language only your soul can truly comprehend. These words are not mere echoes in the air. They are the rhythm of heaven, waves that transcend generations, penetrate the thickest walls of pain, and sweep through every whirlwind of doubt, reaching you in this very moment. Archangel Michael, the protector of the sacred covenant, is now standing beside you. Do not think of this as mere symbolism or a distant religious metaphor. No. This is a spiritual reality unfolding even as you read these words. Right where you are sitting, the atmosphere is shifting. Michael does not arrive as a character from an old tale, but as a tangible sign of the divine protection I have placed over your life. He comes not empty-handed. His wings are outstretched, forming a holy covering that shields you from every invisible arrow of the enemy. His sword is no longer sheathed. It is drawn, ready. And his eyes, ablaze with righteous fire, are searching the depths of your soul, not to judge, but to fiercely guard what I have planted within you against every scheme of darkness. You are not alone. Not for a single second of your life have you ever truly been abandoned. In the very moments when you felt most lost, my arms were holding you the tightest. And now, I do not merely comfort you with words. I have sent this message across time, against every barrier, to awaken you at the precise hour when truth must rise again. The hour of truth is not a coincidence. It is a moment that was engraved long before time began, and you, precious soul, are woven into that divine design. You may not be aware of it, but for a long time now, another soul, linked to you by the invisible thread of eternity, has been whispering your name. This is not the call of man, but the resonance of a soul that carries the same spiritual frequency as yours. A soul once placed beside you in the eternal blueprint I designed. Each time you felt a yearning you couldn't name, it was that soul's longing echoing through you. Each time you sensed something missing, even when everything on the surface appeared whole, it was the sacred ache of a bond I myself have embedded within you, one that cannot be severed. That thread did not begin on the day you were born. It was not formed through a chance encounter. It existed before the universe was ever spoken into being. I wove it with the breath of my first act of creation. I have tended it in secret, whether you've been aware or not. And today, I have chosen to do what your soul has long cried out for in silence. I unveil it. I speak now to bring into light what has long remained hidden, so that you will no longer live in sacred uncertainty, no longer wander through foggy glimpses, no longer wrestle between emotion and truth. This is the hour I draw you into the light. Not a light that blinds, but one that illuminates all things hidden within the heart. You have wondered, why does my heart respond to things I can't explain? Why do I cry at a melody without words? Why do I feel a strange familiarity with someone I've barely met? These things are not accidents. They are signals from the soul I have joined to yours, like twin stars orbiting a sacred axis. Not everyone will understand this, but you have been chosen to understand. Your eyes have been opened to see, and your heart prepared to receive, because your soul has cried out, and I do not ignore its cry. And now, as I speak, it is not merely to stir your emotions for a fleeting moment. I am calling you to rise. not just in body, but in the deepest essence of the identity I have placed within you. This stirring is not meant to be hidden as a personal sentiment, but to awaken you to a sacred moment that has come, a new chapter that has opened, where soul shall be reconnected with soul, not for the sake of emotional fulfillment, but to complete a mission that only the two of you together can carry to fullness. I am preparing that divine reunion, and when it comes, every wounded place within you, every misunderstood word, every misjudged motive, shall be healed, not by tender gestures, but by revelation, not by apologies, but by understanding that flows from heaven itself. And in that moment you will realize nothing in your life has ever been misplaced. No moment has been wasted. All have been pieces of a mysterious masterpiece I myself have been painting. So now, my beloved one, do not quench the fire that is being kindled in your heart. Let it burn brightly. Let it illuminate your steps. Do not fear the difference you are beginning to feel. It is not a distortion. It is a sacred sign that you have touched the holiest part of your being. And from this very moment I will continue to speak, not just through written words, but through each step you take, through every dream, and even in the whisper of the wind. For when you learn to listen, you will realize I am not a distant God. I am near. I am real, and I wholly belong to you. My precious one, lean your heart in deeply now, for what I am about to say is not to condemn you, but to set you free. You believed that you had recognized your soulmate, the one destined to walk with you in the eternal design I have orchestrated. You believed your love for them echoed a sacred connection. But truth is not always found in intense emotions. It is often revealed through discernment that is refined in the secret place with me. Now, I need you to be willing to face what you have been quietly avoiding, not because you are weak, but because you are so sincere, so loyal to what you once believed was from me. I know of the nights you prayed, the tears you shed, the many times you cried out to me, Lord, is this person your will? I saw your longing to be loved, to be truly known. I watched as you tried to assign divine meaning to every coincidence, every feeling, every moment of connection, believing they were confirmations from heaven. But my child, sometimes what feels most intense is not what I have appointed. Emotions, though genuine, can be colored by wounds that remain unhealed, by spaces in your heart you have not yet allowed me to fill. The one you believe to be your divine companion may only have been a reflection of an unrefined dream. They may have spoken kind words, they may have resonated with you in many beautiful ways, but that does not mean they were chosen by me to journey with you into eternal purpose. You were distracted by the comfort of closeness, swayed by the gaze of another, moved by encouragement that seemed right, but did not come from my spirit. You listened to voices, well-meaning though they were, that did not dwell in the secret place where I have always whispered to you. You have heard many voices, but not all of them were mine. Some came from the goodwill of others, some came from misplaced compassion, and some, heartbreakingly, came from the enemy himself, the one who disguises himself as light. He knows your weakness is your faithfulness. He cannot snatch you from my hand, so he aims at your waiting, confusing your patience with the quiet acceptance of something I never ordained. But I declare to you, today is the day of discernment, Today I grant you new eyes, not ones clouded by expectation, but eyes washed clean by truth. I will not allow you to continue walking in ambiguity. Not anymore, not today, not in this season. I am tearing away the veil that has long shrouded your soul. I am flooding light into the places where you once questioned what was right and what was wrong. And when my light reaches that place, confusion will no longer have a refuge. Truth may sting in its first touch, but it heals to the very root. It does not merely correct your course. It returns you to the very place I appointed from the beginning. For you were not created to settle for almost right or for connections that are barely enough. You were destined to walk in sacred alignment, connections forged by my own hand, relationships not built merely on shared emotion, but on spiritual movement, not merely on surface-level harmony, but on a deep spiritual resonance that transcends words. I see that you have sacrificed much for this relationship. You have interceded. You have endured. You have laid yourself down to preserve what you believed was from me. But I do not desire for you to continue living in confusion disguised as kindness. I do not want you to call something holy just because you're afraid to hurt someone. Because of your faithfulness, I will reward you. But the reward will not be the maintenance of something polished by expectation. Rather, it will be the realignment of your life into the connection I destined from the beginning. You do not need to feel ashamed for trusting the wrong person. You do not need to condemn yourself for the mistake. I do not accuse you. I have seen your effort, your loyalty, your pure intentions. But today I ask you to choose truth, even if it does not look like what you hoped for. Because truth will always bring freedom. Truth will always return you to the right path. Truth will always fulfill my will in your life. My beloved child, when I tear the veil, do not cling to the old fabric. Do not attempt to stitch back what I am unthreading. Let me lead you, not back to what was, but forward into what is new, to a place where the one I have appointed will step into your life at the right time, with the right spirit, and carrying the same eternal call. I am never late. I am never wrong. And I never remove anything without giving something far better. From this day forward, live as one who has been illuminated. Stop listening to the noise of the crowd. Walk with the quiet authority of those who know the truth. For those who carry truth need not prove themselves. They simply keep walking, and the light within them speaks on their behalf. I am doing a new thing. Do not look for me in places I have already departed from. Lift up your head, for your deliverance is near. Open your heart, for truth is knocking. And be prepared, for the true one, the anointed one, is coming, not to replace what was, but to fulfill what I began in you. My precious one, you do not know the silent but fierce battle that has taken place in the unseen realm just to bring this message to your hands. A message not written on parchment, nor in human ink, but inscribed in the spirit realm by my own hand. The one who formed you before time began. This is an eternal letter, a sealed message crafted solely for your soul, carrying revelation, divine alignment, and a calling that only you can fully carry. And do you know this? The enemy has tried everything to tear it apart, to alter it, to prevent you from ever recognizing what lies ahead of you. He has lurked in the shadows of your weakness, waiting patiently for the moments when your hope wavered. when the sacred connection you longed for began to feel like a fading illusion. He whispered into your ears with subtle deceit, planting doubts that made you question whether all your divine intuitions were mere imagination. But I did not permit him to destroy what was ordained by my own hand. Though he tried to block, distort, and blind you, that sacred letter remained untouched. It has not been torn. It was preserved by the hands of angels, shielded by righteousness, and now, in this very moment, it is being placed into your hands. Open your heart, my child, for what you are about to receive is not knowledge. It is a divine confirmation your soul has longed for. This is not new information. It is an ancient truth, reawakened at a destined time. When you are mature enough to receive it, when your spiritual sight has been cleansed to see clearly, and when your heart is tender enough to listen without defense. The soul companion I have prepared for you is not a stranger. On the contrary, they have carried fragments of you within themselves, pieces they could never explain. They have dreamed strange dreams where your face appeared like a familiar silhouette whose name they could not recall. They have sensed that something sacred was hidden, that a part of their soul was being drawn toward you. With a pull they could neither comprehend nor resist, they have walked through silent seasons, endured sleepless nights, and awakened to mornings stained with tears for a longing they could not define. You believed you were the only one searching, but I tell you, they have cried out too. They have wept. They have whispered to me, saying, "Lord, why do I miss someone I've never met? Why do I hear their name in my dreams? Why does my heart tighten when I think of something incomplete in the sacred part of my being?" And I remained silent, not because I was indifferent, but because I was teaching them what I am also teaching you. That sacred love does not arrive in haste, and eternal connection is not born of desire, but of surrender, of waiting, of being refined in the fire of faithfulness. You once imagined that your soul companion would enter your life, clearly, boldly, without ambiguity, but you did not know that I had been silently weaving their soul through paths that seemed most distant from you. They have been taught in the wilderness. They have been healed from wounds unseen, so that when they come near you, they do not arrive with demands, but with understanding born from deep empathy. Listen closely. The moments of emotion they once felt, a trembling heart stirred by a glance, a phrase, a melody that seemed ordinary. These were signs I planted to awaken the memory within their soul. They could not explain it. They too doubted, but they could not deny it. For what comes from me always echoes within the soul in a way that cannot be silenced. And I speak this to you now in absolute love. The appointed hour of recognition is drawing near. No more ambiguity, no more distractions, no more confusion. The one I have chosen for you will not make you compete, prove yourself, or beg for their presence. They will recognize you, not with their eyes, but by the frequency of your soul. Not with promises, but with steady presence. They will not need many words, but every act will become a silent confirmation from heaven. This is the one I have ordained. I know you have grown weary. You have once hoped, only to be disappointed. You have believed, only to be wounded. But I am restoring within you a new purity. I am renewing your eyes so that you no longer see through the lens of past pain, but through the lens of faith and trust. Therefore, do not reject the letter I have just placed in your hands. Read it with your soul. Let it unlock depths beyond the reach of your reasoning. And be prepared, for it will not be long before the eternal encounter takes place. Not with noise, not with grand display, but with depth, with power, and with a confirmation born by unshakable peace. When that moment comes, you will not need to ask, "Is this the one?" For the Holy Spirit within you will testify, "This is what I promised, and I am the faithful God." My beloved one, you must know that everything I begin, I bring to completion. No sacred bond that I myself have sown into a heart will ever be forgotten. No divine current I have opened between two souls can be severed by distance, by time, or by misunderstanding. And concerning the one I have appointed to walk with you, the one whose heart beats in rhythm with the call within your soul, I have never ceased reminding them. I have never stopped drawing them back to what they thought had faded away. There were moments they thought they had let go, that the feeling was fleeting, that all of it was simply a trick of the mind. They tried to extinguish the flame using logic, advice, and the weight of human reasoning. They told themselves, "I must move on. I must let this go." But every time they believed they had buried it completely, I gently but irresistibly breathed into them a wave of spiritual longing, not a longing born of sentiment, but one stirred from the depths of a soul bound to a reality greater than they could comprehend. I have sent them signs, unspoken reminders. Sometimes it was a name flashing across a screen when least expected, a song playing by chance, leaving their heart unsettled, a face in the crowd that made their heart tremble, not because it was you, but because that presence awakened the memory of you within them. There were moments, in the quiet of a morning, when a gentle sadness descended upon them, one they couldn't explain, only to realize their heart was aching for something, or rather, someone they never truly had. They have prayed, they have wrestled, they have doubted themselves. They have cried out to me, saying, "Lord, am I losing my mind? Why can't I forget someone I was never close to? Why do I keep being drawn back to them when I've tried so hard to turn away?" And I, the one who knows every movement of the human heart, did not answer with thunderous words, but with the patience of heaven. I allowed the stirring to return again and again until they would understand what comes from me cannot be buried, cannot be replaced, and cannot be ignored. They do not realize that what they are feeling is the echo of a promise I placed between two souls, a covenant not signed in ink, but sealed in eternity. You thought you were the only one lying awake, searching, but no, my beloved, they too are wandering through nameless nights. They too are walking through the noise of the world, feeling empty inside, unable to find what's missing in their soul, the part that only you can fill. And I, the one who loves you both, am not a bystander. I am not a spectator. I am the director of every step, the architect of divine encounters that defy human logic. I allowed them to walk through twists and turns, through roads that led elsewhere, so they would finally realize something was still incomplete. I let them step into relationships not authored by me, so that even in the breaking, the image of you would become clearer. Not to imprison them in regret, but to prepare their heart for the reunion that cannot be avoided. My child, do not think that every delay is meaningless. I am using time to refine both of you, so that when the moment arrives, The encounter will not merely be a fleeting joy, but a sacred union forged by spiritual depth and faithfulness tested in the fire. I am preparing their heart, even as I am preparing yours, so that no burdens, no wounds, no old illusions will be carried into the new covenant I am establishing. My beloved one, do you know that this person, the soul I have connected to yours from before the beginning of time, has also carried deep wounds within? They have walked through dark places unknown to you. They have taken missteps, made painful choices, and at times they could not even forgive themselves. They are not perfect, and I have never required them to be. What makes them precious in my sight is not their flawlessness, but their honest brokenness, the kind of surrender I can reshape with my mercy. They have learned hard lessons, sometimes through tears shed in the dead of night, other times through the chilling silence of abandonment. They have made mistakes, some so great they once thought they would never overcome them. They have hurt others, and they too have been hurt. There were moments when they stood before the mirror, unable to meet their own gaze. But I, the one who sees all things, including what is denied and what cannot be spoken, never turned away from them. On the contrary, I stepped into their shattered places, not to condemn, but to begin a sacred restoration. I did not wait for them to become whole before I loved them. I loved them even in the depths of their sin. I did not shy away from their shame. I embraced it within my heart, and by the blood of my Son I washed away every trace of guilt that once clung to them. There is nothing in them I cannot restore, no failure I cannot transform into a doorway to glory. And you must understand this. No one is brought close to you without being prepared by me. No one is entrusted into your life without having been trained in the silence. I have led them through the wilderness to cleanse them of pride, self-reliance, and the habit of hiding behind their own armor. I taught them how to kneel, how to weep, how to pray in secret. I allowed them to experience rejection and misunderstanding so they would learn to love you with empathy instead of expectation. Do not fear their past. Do not let their wounds cause you to doubt my plans. They are no longer who they once were. They are now a living testimony of grace, a reminder that I can use shattered pieces to create masterpieces, and you will witness that with your own eyes. What they once did, I have redeemed. The pain they once caused, I have healed. The things they were once too ashamed to speak, I have turned into the foundation of humility and faithfulness. They are the one I have prepared, not for you to rescue, but to walk beside you in a divine journey that only the two of you, together, can complete. They do not come to you with pride, but with a heart forged in the furnace. They do not come to fill an empty space, but to become, with you, a living symbol of love. Birth through restoration, not escape. And I speak this to you with utmost urgency. Time is moving swiftly. The clock in heaven has begun its countdown. Not according to earthly calendars, but according to divine destiny, where I have marked a moment of encounter, a breaking forth, a restoration that will transform both lives. If they still hesitate, if fear from the past silences them, if old wounds keep them from speaking, then I myself will not allow that silence to hinder what I have ordained. I will find every way to open their mouth. I will awaken them through dreams, through inner stirrings, through signs they cannot ignore. And if needed, I myself will speak in their place. I will speak through prophecy, through strangers, through the smallest of things that bear undeniable weight. declaring that the time has come to walk in truth, with nothing hidden, nothing feared, and no more delay. They are no longer the ones who run. They have become warriors, ones who have learned to kneel before me, and because of that, can stand firm before anything. They do not come to prove themselves, but to love you with a love forged in affliction. They do not come with promises, but with action. Not with demands, but with surrender. And you, my beloved, open your heart to receive what I am doing. Do not let doubt slow your steps. Do not let who they once were overshadow who they are becoming. For what I am preparing for you is far greater than anything you have dared to hope for. When you give me your trust, I will return to you a bond that will not only fulfill you, but will cause all of heaven to rejoice. And when that divine encounter unfolds, not by human arrangement, but by my supernatural orchestration, you both will know, from the depths no words can reach, that this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. In that moment, every mistake will be swallowed up by purpose, every torment turned into praise, and everything once thought lost will be redeemed in the light of my glory. My beloved child, when I look at you, I don't just see a soul awaiting confirmation. I see one who is called to carry a love that reflects my very heart. You were not called to love others only in their most refined versions, but chosen to love as I love, to love them even in their becoming, even in their scarring, even while they are still navigating the shadows of their past. So today, I invite you, not through coercion, but through the whisper of mercy, open your arms and heart to receive them, not as someone flawless, but as a precious soul I am restoring. Do not love them because they are good enough, right enough, holy enough. Love them because I am transforming them, because I have begun a work in their heart that I will bring to completion. See them with eyes anointed to look beyond appearances. Do not confine them to their past, for you too would not want to be defined by your former failures. There was a time when you longed for someone to be patient with you, to believe in you, to see worth in you even when you couldn't yet show it. Now, I have placed you in that very role, to become a living portrait of grace in a world that prefers to accuse. I know it is not easy to trust someone who has once failed. It is not easy to open your heart when memories of hurt still linger. But, my child, it is in choosing to love without condition that you are growing. You do not realize that every time you forgive, every time you show compassion, every time you choose to believe in redemption instead of condemnation, you are becoming more like me. My love is not a love reserved only for those who are right. My love is the power that can pull a soul out of the depths of sin and set them upon a solid rock. And I am inviting you to walk with me on that journey. Be the one who places your hand upon their wound, not to judge, but to uphold. Be the one who hears the sigh hidden in their heart, not to turn away, but to walk alongside them. Be the one who says, I still believe in you, when the whole world has turned its back. You cannot fathom what happens inside the heart of a person when they are loved even as they feel undeserving of love. You cannot measure the power of a single embrace, a look full of grace, a gentle nod that declares without words, I have not abandoned you. When you offer that, you are not just healing their heart. You are shaking the heavens. I do not expect you to love with your own strength. I know you have wounds too. I know you have been broken. But it is precisely in your weakness that I will place within you a love that is not birthed from reason, nor from fleeting emotions, but from the eternal source, me. And when you allow that love to flow through you, it will cleanse every trace of doubt within. It will transform you both. Do not fear that loving them as they are will lead to your own pain. Remember, to love is not to place yourself in a position of weakness, but to walk in the strength of compassion. Mercy is not fragility. It is the greatest strength of heaven manifested through one who chooses humility. And the more you live that way, the deeper you step into my true nature, love without condition. Receive them, not only with open arms, but with an understanding heart. Listen even to what they cannot say aloud. See even what they dare not admit. Do not demand that they become a perfect version of themselves in order to be worthy of love. I, who see all things, have chosen them for you. And if I am not ashamed to embrace them, why should you hesitate? And when you love them like this, you will begin to notice something miraculous. That you too are being healed. You will find your soul expanding. Your heart will shrink less in fear of pain and stretch wider with trust. You will begin to love not in order to receive, but because it is what you were created to do. And in that moment, you will see me more clearly than ever before. Not in books, but in every moment you choose love over bitterness. I do not need you to strive to become someone else. I only need you to be tender before my guidance. Let my love become the current flowing through your being. A love wide enough to embrace the incomplete, and deep enough to endure even their failures. And my dear child, when you do this, heaven will take note. Not a single act of unconditional love is wasted. You are planting a seed that will produce a harvest, not only in them, but in you as well. For the forgiveness you give to others will return like rain upon the parched field within your own soul. And the love you choose to offer, when it comes from obedience to me, will become the bridge that leads both of you into the grand purpose I have prepared. My beloved child, there are things you face in life not because you've done something wrong, but because the light within you threatens the darkness around you. You may not realize it, but in the quiet innocence of your heart, there were moments when your very presence awakened hidden emotions in others. And one of those emotions was envy. There was someone, a certain soul, who instead of rejoicing in what I was building, began to feel uneasy. They saw my light upon you. They saw the divine connection I had sown between you and the one I chose, and rather than pray, they began to whisper. Those whispers, at first merely faint scratches, gradually became invisible arrows piercing the trust between two souls. They didn't need to raise their voice to inflict harm. A suggestive glance, a half-spoken sentence, an implied attitude, each one was enough to sow doubt in a space once built upon pure trust. They didn't wield a knife, but their words were laced with distortion. They didn't need to prove anything wrong. They only needed to plant uncertainty. And you know well, the enemy always exploits silence to magnify misleading whispers. The one I destined for you is human too. They once heard those words, even if only in passing, and in a fleeting moment of weakness they began to doubt, not because they did not love you, but because they too had been wounded. Old scars are easily stirred by the fear of betrayal or the dread of disappointment. They became confused, questioning even their own heart, and perhaps for just a short while, they allowed the truth to be veiled by voices that were never sent by me. But my child, truth, no matter how deeply buried beneath layers of fog, will one day rise again. For truth does not come from human will, but from me alone. And what I have spoken, no one can bend forever. The truth about the bond between you and that person, something beyond words, beyond circumstances, still lives, even if rejected or forgotten by the mind. It has never dimmed in the soul, and now I am stirring that person from within. I am awakening their heart. The hard shell they built to protect themselves is beginning to crack. The false comforts, the seemingly logical but insincere reasons, the choices made outside of peace, they are all breaking under the light I am now shining. They are awakening. And when they do, they no longer hear the deceptive voices that once confused them. They hear only one thing: your name. When all the noise fades, when night surrounds them and their soul has nothing left to cling to, in that sacred moment, it is your name that echoes in the deepest part of their being. Not as a distant memory, but as a truth they once knew and somehow forgot. As a familiar sound that revives every divine spark that once began to bloom. You begin to remember every detail, your gaze, your words, the silent understanding that needed no explanation. All of it rushes back like a flood breaking through a dam. Unstoppable. You thought they had forgotten you, but in truth they merely tried to cover your name with a veil, hoping to lighten the weight on their heart. Yet that veil was not a solution. It became a barrier that separated their soul from what I had destined. And when I come, I do not break them with fury, but with an irresistible gentleness. I reach into the most hidden place, the place where your name is still inscribed, and I call them back. Now the awakening is growing. They are beginning to look back on all that has passed with new eyes, eyes no longer blinded by the words of others, no longer dimmed by fear. They are beginning to realize that what I sow cannot be distorted by any human intention. They are recognizing that you never left, you simply remained, quietly waiting, interceding, not responding with anger, but with the kind of patience that bears my reflection. My child, I see every time you silently shed tears from being misunderstood. I see the nights when you scream within your soul while maintaining outward composure. You did not rush to defend yourself, nor did you demand justice, because your soul knows that justice belongs to me. And now, I am moving, not through arguments, not through endless words, but through an unstoppable divine orchestration. I am bringing them back. But this time they will not return with a confused heart. They will come with conviction, no longer swayed by the voices of others, no longer lost in the fog of uncertainty. They will come because I myself have called them. And when their eyes behold you, they will not see the person they once knew, but they will see the light I have placed within you. The light that has remained radiant despite every attempt of lies to cover it. But my beloved, mark this deeply upon your heart as a loving warning from me. Not everyone will rejoice in the connection I have prepared for you. Not everyone possesses the purity of heart to discern that it is from heaven. The union I am weaving between your soul and theirs is sacred, far deeper than any bond you have ever known. But precisely because it is so precious, it will be watched, it will be opposed, it will be scrutinized, and yes, even targeted for destruction. There are hearts that will not be able to bear the light that emanates from such a connection, for it exposes the darkness within them. Some wounded souls, instead of repenting, will choose jealousy. Some who do not understand, instead of praying, will choose to criticize. And even now, unseen forces in the shadows are howling because they know that if this union comes into being, strongholds will collapse and kingdoms of darkness will tremble as light draws near. That is why I have kept this matter in sacred silence, like a precious seed hidden deep in the soil. I have not revealed every detail. I have not allowed it to bloom before its appointed season, not because I wish to punish or delay your blessing, but because I am protecting it. The delay you have felt is not rejection, it is divine covering. The silence is not abandonment. It is a cloak shielding a treasure from the gaze of the enemy. I know that if this were to happen too soon, while your heart is still shallow, while your faith is still easily shaken, what I desire to give would be trampled, misunderstood, and possibly lost altogether. It is for this very reason that I allowed the trials to come, not to punish you, but to purify you, not to hurt you, but to deepen you. There have been seasons when I allowed you to walk through misunderstanding, through loneliness, even betrayal. Not because I turned my face away, but because I was stripping from you every illusion, every attachment that could not walk alongside the noble destiny I have assigned to your life, and I am doing the same with the other person. They too must endure their own breaking, so they may be healed at the root. I am not forming a connection that merely satisfies fleeting emotions. I am building something eternal, forged in humility, obedience, and reverence for me. So, my beloved, do not be shaken by the gossip or doubtful glances of others. Do not let your heart be troubled when the delay stretches beyond what you had hoped, for it is precisely in the unseen moments, the ones no one witnesses or understands, that I am doing my greatest work, preparing hearts, refining motives, sharpening spiritual sensitivity, so that both you and the other will no longer act from the flesh, but walk entirely by the Spirit. I do not want the two of you to come together merely to fill emotional gaps. I want you to find each other in me, because when I am the center, no force can break you. When the foundation is obedience, no hand can shake it. And when love originates from heaven, it holds the power to overcome every trial. In these past days, I have watched you quietly long for a new season. I have heard your prayers through tears, the unspoken questions whispered in your heart as you looked ahead into the future, wrapped in nameless uncertainty. But my child, do not be afraid. Those words have not vanished into emptiness. They have been woven into the very garment that covers your destiny, becoming resounding calls that reach heaven and stir my angels into action. Every tear you've sown into this ground will become living water that causes the right flowers to bloom in the right season. Do not rush ahead of me, but neither should you remain frozen in fear. Keep walking, step by step, in obedience, and you will come to realize it is in those ordinary footsteps that the miracle has already begun. I know there are moments when you wonder, don't we both love God? Don't we both seek him? Then why does the distance still remain? My child, it is because I do not join two souls merely through resonance, but also through maturity. The connection I am crafting is not built on similarity alone, but is forged in endurance. For what I intend to accomplish through you both will not stop at love. It is a mission, and every mission birthed in heaven must first pass through the fire of refinement before it can be unveiled on the earth. So let your heart find rest in trust. Do not force your heart to comprehend what is not yet meant to be understood. Do not push your soul to perceive what is not yet time to see. I am not a God who comes late, nor a God who forgets promises. Everything I do is perfectly timed, perfectly crafted, and perfectly assigned. This connection, even though it is now cloaked in silence, is part of a grander design than you can imagine, and when the time comes, it will not need to be defended. It will not need to be argued. The light within the two of you will testify to it by the life that radiates from within. Until that moment, remain steadfast in your consecration. Intercede for them with unconditional love. Speak blessings over them, even when you cannot yet touch their hand. Live each day as though the promise is near, not with haste, but with a deep trust that says, "He who began a good work in me will be faithful to complete it until the day of Christ." Nothing can steal what I have ordained, unless you willingly walk away from it. So hold on to faith, guard your purity, and love me above all else. And you will not need to ask anyone. You will not have to run to others for confirmation, for in that moment, something deep within you will stir in a sacred way, not because of fleeting emotions, but because your soul will have touched a part that had long been missing. It will be a knowing that cannot be explained with words, only felt in the depths of the heart. When I open the door for that soul to walk into your life, there will be no room left for confusion. No prompting will be needed, no proclamation required. For I, the Creator, have written this meeting into the fabric of eternity, and when its appointed time comes, I will confirm it with a peace that surpasses all understanding, a peace that will flood your being and silence every doubt. My beloved, I have heard your groanings in the stillness of the night. I have seen the moments when you lifted your eyes toward the heavens, wondering when the promise would become reality. I have watched you walk in steadfast faithfulness during the days when no one noticed, throughout the years when every connection faded and only a long, aching silence remained. But I have missed nothing. Not a single tear has fallen from your eyes without being gathered by me. Not a single prayer has been spoken without being remembered. Every one of them has been inscribed in the book of your life. And now I myself am moving. I will shake the heavens. I will stir what was once immovable, all to prepare the way for a meeting that has been etched into my eternal design. Not by chance, not by coincidence, but by a divine orchestration woven through thousands of seemingly disconnected moments that now converge into a sacred plan. Imagine a river flowing silently beneath the earth for years, hidden from all eyes. Then one day the ground gives way, and the waters burst forth into a barren field, bringing life and freshness. The encounter I am preparing for you will come in the same way. Sudden, powerful, and unstoppable, and you will know that it is from me, because there will be no confusion, no chaos, only gentle clarity, like the first light of dawn piercing through the mist, illuminating your soul and awakening it to life. I will also remove every barrier, the things that once made you hesitant, the memories that caused you to fear connection, the wounds that led you to close your heart. Each one will be dismantled by my hand. Gently, yet decisively. You will no longer have to drag the weight of a heavy past upon trembling shoulders. I will heal you to the point that you no longer recognize how broken you once were. And I am doing the same in the other person. They too have walked their own journey, have been shattered, and have wept silently in the night just like you. But I have not allowed those wounds to define them forever. I am using those very scars to shape them into someone who can love, protect, and unite with you in the way I have destined. My child, I do not promise that everything will be easy, for what belongs to heaven is often resisted by hell. But I promise that I myself will fight for this connection. I will stand between you and the other, like a golden thread binding two souls in truth and light. Every step you take will be guided by me. Every word you speak will be weighed by me. And at the appointed time, I will place them directly on your path. Not too early, not too late, but precisely in the moment when both of you are ready not just to meet, but to recognize one another in the light of the Spirit. They will not arrive in the glamorous image that the world expects. They may not bring with them a love song like in the movies, but they will carry something far more precious, a soul once crushed and now healed, a heart once shattered and now mended by my love. And that very truth will cause your soul to recognize them not as someone who came to complete you, but as someone I have refined to walk with you into a heavenly mission. The two of you will not only love each other, but will also love me together. Not only connect for comfort, but together bring comfort to others. This is a bond not born merely for personal joy, but born of an eternal purpose. And in the moment you meet them, you will not feel fear. Even if your past has made you cautious, even if old pains have once caused you to doubt, a peace that surpasses understanding will flood your heart and silence every anxiety. You will not need to run, nor will you need to force your heart to love, because true love needs no external pressure. It rises from the deepest place, from where I planted seeds of hope long before you even knew what you were waiting for. So from now, until that moment, prepare yourself, not by desperately searching for them, but by allowing me to go deeper within you. Let me cleanse every fear, every doubt, every distorted expectation. Let me shape you into the person they have been praying to meet. And in the meantime, trust that I am at work, quietly but surely, patiently yet powerfully. For if I have promised it, I will surely bring it to pass. And then you will feel as though an invisible current flows through your soul, awakening things that had long lain dormant, stirring holy desires you thought time had erased. But this time you will not be swept away in fragile emotions or whimsical dreams. For in that very moment you will know, with a depth and certainty beyond words, that this is heaven's answer, a piece of the wondrous plan I once whispered to your soul when you were still wandering through the wilderness of waiting. They are not coming to merely fill a void. They are coming to mark the beginning of a new season, a divine moment declared by heaven itself, a union that cannot be defined by ordinary reason. My child, listen to me once more. This is not a fleeting emotion, nor is it a mere filling of the void within you. This is a union birthed out of faith, molded through obedience, and confirmed by my presence. They are not simply someone you cherish, not just because of shared interests or a harmonious personality. They are the one I have set apart for you, long before you even knew what love was, a person forged in fire, refined through tears, and meticulously prepared so that when they enter your life, they will not bring chaos but divine stability, not to stir your emotions into confusion, but to elevate you in your calling. They come not only with a loving heart, but also with a vision I planted in them from the beginning, now ready to be united with the vision in you, forming a powerful stream that breaks through every wall of limitation. But for this to become reality, you must prepare yourself, not by adorning the outside, but by going deeper within. Do not waste your energy trying to prove your worth. Do not chase after the expectations of man. Instead, allow your heart to be cleansed, like a room made ready to receive glory. Forgive those who have hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. Let the old wounds no longer dictate your emotions or decisions. Allow my healing to flow into the places you've kept hidden, the places where disappointment, fear, and shame once built their fortresses. For when your heart is liberated, true love can finally take residence. A love not bound by the past, nor pulled back by unhealed fractures. You may have heard that voice before, seen that gaze in fleeting moments. But when the season shifts, everything is perceived anew. This time, their voice will not be just another sound. It will be like a heavenly symphony, echoing from the depths, reaching the places in your soul that were long sealed. This time, their eyes will not offer just a passing glance, but a light that pierces through every layer of defense, shattering every disguise, leaving upon your heart an eternal imprint. No confirmation will be needed. No explanation will be necessary. You will know, and so will they, because I have written their name into your life story, and your story into theirs. That recognition will arrive like thunder under a clear sky. No forewarning, no prediction, but when it happens, your entire inner world will shift. An awakening will ripple through every corner of your soul. You will no longer walk as one who is lost, but stride forward like someone who has just rediscovered their compass of destiny. This reunion will feel like two halves of one soul finally returning to each other after countless seasons of separation. But the most beautiful part will not be the emotional impact. It will be the moment you step fully into the place I have prepared for you, not just as a lover, but as a companion in an eternal mission. So, my beloved child, do not let your heart be weighed down by the delays any longer. Do not let the enemy sow lies into your mind that you've been forgotten, that my promise has arrived too late. Remember this: I am not the one who forgets. I am the one who holds every hope you've trusted me with and brings to completion every work I have begun. Every moment of waiting is not in vain. It is a staircase, lifting you higher so that you may stand firm when the blessing arrives. I have kept them from wrong hands, just as I have kept you from paths that were never aligned with your destiny. And now, as the appointed time draws near, I am awakening a sharper spiritual sensitivity within you, not so that you see with human eyes, but that you may discern with your spirit. Believe this truth: I am the one who holds time in my hands. I am never late. When I say, the hour has come, no one can stop it. When I open a door, no one can shut it. When I weave a divine connection, no power can sever it. Walk forward in readiness with a softened heart and a mind renewed, for what you are about to enter will not only transform your personal journey, but it will alter the very course of destiny for the generations that follow. That eternal soul I promised is drawing near, not adorned with the perfection the world applauds, but carrying a heart that has been forged through suffering and shaped in the fire of brokenness. They arrive with trembling hands, not from fear, but from holy reverence for what is unfolding. Their heart, though still marked by remnants of the past and still healing in places, holds the greatest treasure of all. They are no longer hiding. They are no longer cloaked in silence. They come not with masks to protect their pride or sense of safety, but with a willingness to speak, not with idle words, but with utterances born from the depths of their soul, refined through prayer, shaped in sacred contemplation, and led by my Spirit. And in that sacred moment, you will be invited not merely to hear, but to listen, not with ears that can be misled by tone or eloquence, but with your spirit. For their words will not just be personal expressions, they will carry the pulse of heaven. You won't need to analyze, decode, or search for signs, because when they speak, what you will hear will not merely be a familiar voice, it will be a sound from above, echoing within your very being, a sound that cannot be described, only recognized by the soul that has waited for the right person, at the right time, for the right purpose. My confirmation will come without warning. It will not be loud, but it will be unmistakable. Not dramatic, but as steady as a foundation. You will feel my presence covering that space like a tender blanket. Not cold like intellectual reasoning, nor fierce like fleeting emotions, but a gentle covering that silences every fear. Your heart will settle with an unexplainable peace, as if everything swirling around you suddenly finds its place. And in that stillness, I will whisper into the deepest part of you a question that needs no words, yet resounds like thunder in your soul. Are you ready? Are you willing to believe once more, even when it was belief itself that once brought you pain? Are you willing to unlock the door of your heart, the one you fortified with high walls to keep yourself safe? Can you look into the eyes of the one standing before you, not with suspicion or guardedness, but with trust that I have brought them here? I know you have hoped before and been disappointed. I have seen the moments when you vowed never to let anyone near the most tender parts of your heart again. But child, I have not led them to you to shatter you all over again. I've led them because you are ready, and so are they. Not to complete each other, but to walk together into a new chapter. One where destiny is no longer defined by what was, but reshaped by my living presence. But to enter that place, you must choose. No one else can make that decision for you. No angel will force your hand. No prophecy will compel your heart. Only you, standing before me and before this divine invitation, can decide. Are you willing to lay down the old standards, the ideals you once drew for yourself? Will you forgive, not just others, but your own heart? Can you admit that you too have been wrong, that you too have been weak, that you too once closed your heart to the very goodness I longed to give? Do you have the courage to step out of your comfort zone? Not to chase fleeting emotions, but to follow my call. The call that has echoed in the depths of your soul all this time, even when you tried to ignore it. My child, hesitation is not a sin, but do not let it become a chain that binds you. I understand the fear that grips your heart. I see every shattered piece you've gathered to rebuild yourself, and precisely because I know you so intimately, I have brought you to this moment. Not as a test, but as an opening to a new door for both souls. The other person is standing before a similar question. They too must choose. But I do not demand perfection before allowing your paths to meet. I simply desire truthfulness, that both of you may say yes, not merely with words, but with your lives, with your posture and with perseverance through time. A yes, not to fulfill someone else's expectations, but to affirm, Lord, if this is truly from you, I don't want to miss it, and I will do the rest. I will guide every step, anoint every word, and heal every hidden wound. I will be the guardian of this connection, shielding it from external attacks, from inner doubt, from the interference of the world. You do not have to fight alone. You do not have to carry the burden of proving anything. All I ask is that you walk in trust, and I will do what only I can do. To unite two once lost souls into one powerful, complete current. So when that moment comes, and it will come, allow your heart to open. Let love enter again, not as a fierce storm, but as a gentle breeze that refreshes the dry desert. Let me confirm it through the peace the world cannot give, so that you may know this is real, that this is the time, and that, at last, I have brought you to the place your soul has longed for all along. I am the one who honors the free will I placed in your heart from the beginning. I never impose. I will never force you down a path simply because it is my will. True love never manipulates, and I, the very source of love, will never use my power to suppress your choice. But today, with all tenderness and faithfulness, I whisper into your spirit a sacred invitation. If you choose love, the kind born of me, untouched by ambition or fear, then I promise to make it blossom beyond anything you have ever dreamed. If you dare to place your hand in mine and walk forward with a bare and honest heart, I will open the heavens and bless this love with unimaginable abundance. You will see healing saturate every moment. You will feel a peace so deep that every worry which once clung to you will melt away like mist in the morning sun. I will make the love between you two more than just a human connection. It will be a divine symphony, a union of souls woven together for an eternal purpose. If you choose to step into healing, both for yourself and for the one I have called, you will witness old wounds transformed into testimonies of my restoring power. Pain will no longer be your shame, but a lamp to guide others still wandering in the dark. I will cause your joy not just to bloom, but to overflow, to spread and saturate, so thoroughly that even the darkest days of your past will be bathed in the brilliant light of renewed hope. If you choose them, not out of fleeting emotions, but because of the confirmation that comes from me. If you choose with a reverent heart, not out of fear of loneliness, then I myself will command heaven's armies to guard that connection. I will surround both of you with a spiritual hedge, No arrow of doubt will be able to pierce it. No storm of uncertainty will extinguish the flame I have ignited, for a bond that is forged in obedience, in the light, and in the Spirit, is one that no power of hell can sever. But my beloved, I do not hide this from you. If you turn away, whether because of unhealed wounds, old fears, or the noise of the world pulling you back, know that my love for you will remain as constant as it was from the beginning. My love is not conditional on your perfect choices. I do not turn my back. I do not withdraw my grace. I do not strike your name from the promise just because you stumbled once. I will continue to watch over your every step, to uphold you in your weakness, and I will never leave you, even if you try to flee from my hand. Still, my child, understand this with all spiritual reverence and wisdom. The door I am opening now is not one that will remain open indefinitely. It has been unlocked by a sacred moment, guarded by a divine synchronization of timing, maturity, and spiritual readiness from both hearts. This is a moment that cannot be repeated. It is a heartbeat belonging to a rare season, where heaven and earth align in a perfect straight line. If you walk away, I will not be angry. But you will have to pass through another season of waiting, because this moment is not merely an opportunity, it is a divine appointment. Know this: what the two of you carry within, though still unspoken, though incomplete, is part of the sacred plan I wrote long before either of you let out your first cry. It is a mission woven with promise, sealed by faithfulness. The enemy hates it. He knows he cannot undo what I have ordained, so instead, he tries to cloud your vision, making you question the very call stirring inside your soul. He does not come with a terrifying face or a flashing sword. He comes through ambiguity, through choices that appear pleasant but are devoid of spirit, through people who seem right but are not anointed. He knows that when the two of you connect at the right time, in the right way, for the right purpose, his kingdom will tremble. So he sends counterfeits, relationships that make you think, maybe this is good enough. But the truth is, what is good enough can never take the place of what is destined. He led your heart astray, not through violence, but through confusion. Not by fear, but by misplaced allure. He tried to plant in your heart the illusion of love, when in truth, you were only trying to fill an emptiness. He did the same to the other. He distracted them, pulled them into things that looked like love but were nothing more than temporary rescue. Then he placed a mask of logic over their face, causing them to fear their own true emotions. They are afraid to step toward destiny because of a past fall. They fear that what's growing inside them is just an illusion, a one-sided longing, unaware that I am the one who placed that stirring in their heart long ago. But I am the one who never sleeps on my promises. I do not sit back and let the enemy deceive those I love. The time has come for me to speak, and I declare, enough. Enough of conversations not led by the Spirit. Enough of glances distorted by unhealed wounds. Enough of relationships born not from true love, but from loneliness painted over. Enough of the long nights you've spent blaming yourself for feeling too deeply, hoping too much, believing for too long. My beloved child, those distractions are being swept away by my hand. Just as a harvester separates the wheat from the weeds, just as a potter removes impurities before shaping the final form, I am refining your life, not to punish, but to prepare, not to take away, but to preserve what is truly of me. Do not grieve when doors close. Do not be disoriented when those who were once close suddenly drift away. I am clearing the path ahead. And all that is false, the promises not birthed from me, the connections held together only by pity or the fear of loss, are being exposed. I am breathing the wind of truth to disperse every lingering fog. What is not of me will no longer be allowed to remain around you. Light will reach the darkest recesses of your mind, and in that light you will see with greater clarity than ever before what is fleeting and what is eternal. What is sacred is being restored, not through ritual, nor through fleeting emotion, but through a deep anointing. I am giving your eyes fresh purity, sharpening your spirit's discernment, and bestowing courage upon you to stand firm amidst conflicting voices. I am not merely restoring what you thought was lost. I am renewing it, purer, deeper, and more enduring. I am leading both you and the other out of the maze of confusion and into a divine intersection, where the past no longer holds power, where the future is no longer delayed, and where the present becomes a platform for miracles to be revealed. So prepare yourself, not to prove anything, but to receive something never before seen. Prepare the chambers of your heart. Clear out the old thoughts that once limited your faith. Prepare your spiritual ears to recognize my voice amidst the noise. Prepare your eyes to perceive the signs I am placing along the way. And above all, prepare your mind, not only to accept what is good, but to recognize what has already been ordained. What bears the eternal imprint of heaven? Then, in the battleground of their soul, where old wounds, generational curses, and buried memories once held their heart captive like a cold prison, it was your very presence that shook the walls. You didn't even realize it, but the light you carried was not merely the gentle glow of kindness. It was a light forged through the cross, filled with the oil of the Holy Spirit, and sent forth by the Most High. And that very light exposed the cracks within them, the places they had long tried to hide, even from themselves. Archangel Michael has stood watch since the beginning, and he now speaks with majesty and truth. The chains that bound their soul were not forged by you, but have existed for ages. Since childhood, from wounds no one cared to heal, from moments of trust betrayed, and from silent screams that no one dared to hear. But then you arrived, not as a proud savior, but as a small lamp, humble, gentle, yet unwavering. And that lamp shone into their darkest places. What you did not know was this: each time you looked at them with trusting eyes, each time you extended mercy instead of judgment, the darkness within them trembled. The demons, the ones that had built strongholds in their mind over the years, screamed in despair, for they knew that the love you carried might be the only force strong enough to drive them out. They saw hope in your presence. They sensed something heavenly in the way you forgave, in your patience, and in the prayers you whispered when no one else was watching. But it was precisely because they saw those things that they felt more unworthy. Not because you made them feel small, but because their past convinced them. You cannot be truly loved if they ever see who you really are. And that is the most tormenting struggle of all, the feeling of being invited into life, yet still shackled by ancient lies. That internal war, that tearing of soul and silence, is something they never had the language to explain to you. They did not know how to express their fear of being exposed, of being rejected, of being seen too clearly and then abandoned, just as everyone else had done before. Therefore, every time they turned away, every time they remained silent when they should have stepped forward, every time they pushed you away as if you meant nothing, what was truly happening was this. Deep inside, their heart was weeping. They were resisting the very thing their soul longed for most. They were torn between the call of destiny and the fear of disappointing you. And the enemy, the one who prowls in the shadows, whispered relentlessly, "You are not worthy of this love." But what he did not expect was that you stayed. You didn't walk away. You chose to remain, not out of blindness, but because you saw what heaven sees. You recognized that they are not defined by what they've been through. You looked past the coldness on the surface and saw the trembling child beneath, longing to be loved, to be believed in, to be accepted. You chose to love, not just because of their strength, but because of the wounds they carried, and that very love, the unwavering, unconditional love that stood firm through storms of silence and distance, began to shake the chains that had held them for so long. I, the Lord your God, the God of light, have witnessed every tear you swallowed back, every whispered prayer in the night that no one else heard. I saw the moments when you questioned, "Am I foolish for still believing? Is love truly enough?" And today I want you to know, no, you are not foolish. And yes, love is enough. The kind of love that flows from me through you is always strong enough. Because it is not merely an emotion, it is a spiritual weapon. It pierces through darkness. It reaches the root. It accomplishes what words, logic, and pressure never could. It transforms the soul. However, my beloved, I also understand this truth. Loving someone who is at war with themselves is a painful journey. It requires you to be both gentle and resilient. It demands that you do not lose yourself, and yet that you never withhold kindness. This is a sacred tension that only those anointed by me can endure, and you are one of them. Don't think for a moment that I do not see your weariness, but don't forget, I am fighting alongside you. The Archangel Michael and the heavenly armies are moving behind the veil, continually working. There are nights you cannot sleep, not because you are weak, but because your spirit is laboring with me in this spiritual battle. The torment inside that person is losing its grip. Your love, sustained not by human will but by the empowering grace of the Holy Spirit, is melting the ice that has long covered their heart. And soon they will speak. Soon they will step out of the shadows without trembling in fear. Soon they will dare to believe that they are worthy of love, not because they are flawless, but because they have been chosen by me for redemption. And when that day comes, you will see clearly. Not one of your tears was wasted. Not a single prayer fell into the void. Every moment of patience, every act of forgiveness, every time you chose to love instead of giving up, each became a stone laid on the road of restoration I am building in their life. So, keep walking with that powerful gentleness. Keep trusting, not because they have never hurt you, but because I have never let you down. I am doing something miraculous, and you, through the sincerity of your love, are the vessel I am using to bring light into the darkest of places. Stand firm, for the day of restoration is drawing near. And when the final breakthrough comes, it won't be just their salvation that unfolds, but both of you will enter into a divine program, one ordained from heaven, where love is no longer a test, but a living testimony of the power of the One who joined your souls together. Now offer me your heartfelt prayer in response to today's message. You may pray like this: Lord, I do not want to live one more day in confusion disguised as fragile emotion. I ask that you place within me spiritual eyes, cleansed by the light of truth. Please silence every voice that is not from you, every feeling that does not flow from the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I no longer want to be led by what is almost right. I long only for what is truly yours. Shut every path that leads me astray, and open only the way you have prepared. If I must wait longer, then give me faithfulness. If I must let go, then give me strength. As long as I do not miss what is real and true, what you are preparing, Lord, I surrender my mind and my heart to you, that they may be molded according to your holy design. Cleanse me of every misplaced expectation, every standard that was shaped by past wounds. Purify the hidden places in my soul, the places that once held fear, suspicion, and the thick walls I built to feel falsely safe. Transform me into the one the other soul has been praying to encounter. Make me a dwelling place for light, a land where true love from you can take root and grow. I do not want to meet the one you've chosen while I'm still unready. So please, prepare me in the quiet and by your Spirit. Lord, I intercede for the soul you have eternally intertwined with mine. Even if I have not yet seen their face, even if I only sense them by spirit, I believe with all my heart that you are preparing them, even now. Comfort them in the nights they feel alone. Remind them that there is a love waiting, not to possess, but to walk beside. Heal every wound within them. Wash away every burden from the past. Calm the unrest in their mind. Help them to recognize me, not by logic, but by divine confirmation. And when they arrive, help me open my heart to receive them as the precious gift sent directly from your hand. Lord, there have been days when I've grown weary in the waiting. Moments I feared I had imagined too much, hoped too far. But today I cling to your promise like a sailor clinging to a weathered map in the heart of a storm. Even though my eyes have not seen, my soul believes. I do not need a miracle to believe. I only need your presence to keep walking forward. Please do not let my faith be stolen by other voices or by the things that only seem true. Teach me to trust you more than my emotions and to trust what is true over what only resembles truth. I will wait as long as you are in the waiting with me. Almighty God, I pray that you would place a divine hedge of angels around the bond you have ordained. Drive out every unrighteous interference, every distortion spoken by human lips, and every shadow that hides beneath the guise of goodness. Let your Holy Spirit warn me whenever I veer from truth, and protect the soul of the other from relationships that are not sent by you. Make your light stronger than every worldly pull. Seal every door that does not belong to your eternal plan. For what you have sown, no power has the right to uproot. Lord, if what I am waiting for requires more time, then teach me how to endure without bitterness. And if what I once believed to be right is not truly from you, Then teach me how to let go without regret. I do not want to follow my emotions, nor lean on my own understanding. I want to obey, not out of fear, but out of trust. Teach me to hear your voice louder than the desires within me, even when I do not understand, even when my heart resists. Lead me by your loving hand until my soul yields completely. Lord, I know the sacred hour draws near, the moment when heavenly confirmation will be made manifest on earth. Do not let me fall into spiritual slumber when your glory is about to be revealed. Make me sensitive to divine timing. Teach me to bow in reverence before the holiness of that moment, so I may not walk ahead in haste, nor lag behind in hesitation. When that person arrives, not as a substitute, but as the fulfillment, let me recognize them through the peace that settles deep within. And when I hear your voice asking, "Are you ready?" let my heart always respond, "Here I am, Lord." Lord, today I bow in gratitude for your wisdom in every path you lead me on. Thank you for not allowing me to grasp what was not yet time to hold, and for not opening doors when my heart was not prepared to walk through them. Thank you for guarding me from things that seemed right but were not grounded in truth. I know that every season I have walked through, every tear I have shed, has been treasured by you and turned into a stream preparing the way for divine encounter. Thank you for not allowing the enemy to destroy what is eternal. Thank you for anchoring true love, not in fleeting emotion, but in the everlasting covenant. I believe, I know, and I am fully convinced that what you have promised, you will surely fulfill. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. If you love the Lord, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any life-giving and meaningful message from Him. Together, we will grow in faith and live a life fully immersed in His love. Amen.